Let me put it, he is all-knowing. He is all-wise. There is nothing hidden before his eyes. J.C. Ryle puts it this way: there is something especially solemn in the thought that the Lord Jesus knows all things. There is an eye that sees our daily contact. There is an ear that hears all our daily words. Concealment is impossible. Hypocrisy is useless. We may deceive ministers. We may impose upon our relations and our neighbors, but the Lord sees through and through. We can't deceive Christ. Let us measure every difficult question about right or wrong by one simple test. How would I behave if Jesus were standing right by my side? Such a standard is not extravagant and absurd. It is a standard that interferes with no duty or a relation in life. It interferes with nothing but sin. Happy is he who tries to realize his Lord's presence and do all and say everything as to Christ. Once again, that was J.C. Ryle. Wow. Just remember, he sees it all anyhow. Nothing escapes his notice. Nothing is hidden from him. Hebrews 4:13 says that we're all openly exposed. It's kind of like how you are before a doctor who's going to give you an exam, like an examination. There's like nothing hidden, okay? And you know those flimsy hospital robes? They're nothing. Fortunately, much like a physician, Christ doesn't use this vulnerability against us. Instead, he examines us because he wants to heal. He wants to heal. He wants to heal us. He's patient with us, even when we fail. In fact, he invites us to come to him so that we may find the grace that we need. Come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in a time of need. Okay. So once again, Jesus, I love how Jesus will use any instance to teach somebody. And right now, he's teaching Simon. And he uses it by way of a creative illustration. Okay? But notice what he does. Are you with me here, please? Please, I appeal to you. Are you with me? He reframes the whole issue so that Simon now has a paradigm shift in his mind. Simon was thinking one way, and Jesus totally changed his thinking. And that's what he wants to do for you and me. He's trying to get us to think the way he thinks. We try to interpret events, we try to interpret the Bible, we try to interpret the things of the Lord according to our own understanding. What we need the Lord to do is we need for him to give us a paradigm shift so that we see things through his view. And the Lord had a very different view of these things. He's like, now Simon, is the king going to go shaking down his children for tax? No, you don't do that. And let's put it another way. Let's put it another way. Are you going to, when you get home after church and it's dinner time, are you going to make your kids line up at a cash register? And then you're going to make them pay? No, you don't do that to your family. Come on now. You don't do that. When Ronald steps up lunch, Ronald's not going to have to, he's not going to have to go breaking open the piggy bank or anything like that. No! You don't do that with your family. At least not your dependents. Oh, here he goes. Here he goes. That's another can of worms for another time. Okay, but listen, if you had a boarder in your house or you had a tenant, now that's different. There's nothing wrong with asking them to pay rent. There's nothing wrong with asking them to contribute to the needs of the house. Come on now, I'm preaching. Okay? This is one of the most important things that happens when we interact with God. That paradigm shift that takes place. Hallelujah. And he did exactly that. He says, well, listen, I am God's son. We are about God's business. So it's, he was trying to explain things. So he gives him the paradigm shift. And now Peter sees like, oh yeah, okay. But here's the thing. So what did Jesus do? Hold on. Please. What did Jesus do? Did he say, okay, Simon, now you made a mistake. You go right back out there and you tell those guys that we ain't paying. Did he do that? Oh, no. Wait a second. Oh, aren't you wishing the message stopped right now? Well, yeah, I'm sure you are, because it's 12:35. But here's the deal. Jesus paid anyway. Why? Why? He says, because I don't want to offend them. What does he mean by offend them? Insult them? No, no, no. The word offend means cause to sin. You've got to understand the way Jesus operates. You've got to understand the principles of the kingdom of heaven. Jesus would rather suffer himself than cause anybody to sin. A little foreshadowing of eventually how he would go to the cross. Rather than for you or for me to suffer eternity separated from God, he would rather take the punishment himself. And that's exactly what he did. He said, look, I know I'm exempt, but I am not going to put a stumbling block here. I am not going to cause these guys to sin. Why exactly he was causing them to sin, I'm not exactly sure. However, the fact that he was sensitive to that speaks volumes. And you want to know something? It talks to you and me. Because Paul says exactly the same kind of thing. Do you know what Paul says? He says, how come, Paul said, one of the things he says is, I have certain advantages as an apostle, but I don't use my advantages. For the sake of the gospel, I would rather surrender some of my quote-unquote benefits because I don't want to hinder the preaching of the word. See, we are so bent on getting our rights, but that's not the way the kingdom operates. Sometimes in the kingdom, you've got to forfeit your rights to do what pleases God. Paul says to the believers who are taking one another to court, he says, why don't you just suffer wrong and let it go at that? No! Oh, man! Pastor! Oh, man, you are really going over today. What do you mean suffer wrong? I got my rights. It's not about your rights. It's about being like Jesus had his rights, and I got news for you. If he had his rights, we'd be in a whole different place today, wouldn't we? Aren't you glad the kingdom is not all about rights? If it was about rights, okay, then we'd have a long eternity separated from God. So don't talk to me about rights. No. It's not about rights. Jesus claimed his rights. He would have called angels down from heaven. He would have wiped everybody out. If Jesus claimed his rights when you sinned, he'd turn you into a piece of bacon. You understand what I'm trying to say? He says, why not suffer? Why not suffer? Why not be cheated yourself? Now that's hard to take. But that's higher ground, that's part of the cross. Are you with me, my people? Higher ground, that's part of the, you understand what I'm trying to say? That's part of the cross. Jesus would rather be cheated than that somebody should sin. He would rather, in other words, he'd rather take it upon himself and surrender his rights for the good of somebody else. That's kingdom. Why? Because that's the heart of God.